Good morning, everyone. Namaste. Welcome to our weekly Sunday satsang. And this is a very blessed, sacred day for all of us. Guru Purnima, a very blessed and happy Guru Purnima to all of us. I was thinking during meditation, blessed, beautiful, sacred days like this remind us of what we forget in the busyness of our daily life, being able to wake up every morning and remember the greatest blessing of all is already with us, that of a true guru. As Adi Shankaracharya said, there are three great graces, and one of them is the blessing of a true guru. And we have it. I remember at one point in my life, early on in the path, we have all these desires. Oh, I wish I had that. Oh, I wish, that would happen in my life, and so on and so forth. And then the thought came, just out of the blue, you have the guru. What more do you want? When you have the guru, you have everything. And this is a very appropriate affirmation reading that we had, renunciation, to understand and to awaken to this realization that all that our heart desires is awaiting us inside and not outside. And our busy search outside is what burns up our prana again and again through so many incarnations. And in this life, we have the great blessing of a true guru that is with us every moment. If only we can turn to the guru, hold his hand tightly and tell him every time, guide me, lead me, do not allow me to stray, discipline me. And we would lead the life that would give us freedom. We would lead the life that would bring us to inner happiness, a happiness that lasts. Not a happiness that ebbs and flows with the tide. No, a happiness that is always with us, no matter what the circumstances in our life. I'm taken back in time to that moment of the Kurukshetra battle. Many attempts were made to avoid the battle. Even by the likes of Krishna himself, God himself tried to avert the war between the cousins, but the momentum was irrevocably taking them to the war, which everybody knew would have been best if it could be avoided, but it was not to be. And here you find both the armies facing each other on the battlefield, the Kauravas on one side and the Pandavas on the other side. And Arjuna, at the moment close to the war, is suddenly overcome when he sees all his cousins before him. Is overcome. My God, Dronacharya, my teacher, Bhishma, my great grandfather, Ashwathama, my friend, and all of my other cousins, no matter how wild their deeds or their anger or their jealousies were against the Pandavas, his heart was brimming with love. And he didn't want to fight. He's like, how can I fight my own people? How can I continue to eat food with these very hands that are murdering my own kin, my own family? These were his thoughts as he was standing ready for war. And Krishna again and again is telling him, fight. But Arjuna is not being convinced. He keeps bringing up arguments to Krishna again and again for every, okay, why grandfather Bhishma? Krishna is consoling him. Why my teacher Dronacharya? He has taught me everything I know, and I'm going to use the same things that he has taught me to kill him. How is this proper, in dharma? And again, Krishna is telling him again and again. And ultimately, Krishna has to reveal his luminous, awe-inspiring, yet intimidating form that shows Arjuna how all the Kuru princes were already swallowed in death in God's will, because they were already in the path of adharma, and there was no redemption without the war for them. And what a moment for us to hold close to ourselves. This is how much of the battle of our lives are fought every day. We have delusions in our mind that tell us, oh no, this is what you need to be doing. This is how I should do this. We are seldom asking Krishna, our guru, what should I do? What would you like me to do? Or what would you like to do through me? Because we are so established in the understanding that I am the doer, I am deciding the destiny of my life, I am accomplishing this task before me. that the Guru is far from our consciousness, that Krishna is far from our consciousness, Yogananda, Master, all of these masters are far from our understanding. But here they're always there, right beside us, as Babaji says in that beautiful story that Yogananda ji retells in the autobiography. His first meeting with Lahiri Mahashaya, and Lahiri Mahashaya has forgotten. But the Guru, of course, always remembers, and he helps Babaji, Lahiri Mahashaya remember. He said, when you were in your mother's womb, when you were in the astral seas, when you were a child, sitting in lotus posture on the sand, Nadia's sands in meditation, I was invisibly present. Isn't that so beautiful? The one soul standing by our side, incarnation after incarnation. As Lahiri Mahashaya said, oh, where can I experience such deathless love except in the true Guru? These are the things we want to remind ourselves again and again. These are the times also when our lives were being changed. Make no mistake, it did not begin to change only after we took birth on this plane. Sri Yukteswarji meets Babaji at the Kumbh Mela, and Sri Yukteswarji is looking at all these yogis around him, and he feels, he does not feel one pure soul among them. And his mind is thinking about, oh my God, they're all, fakirs, but in fake clothing. And maybe the scientists of the West should be given the gift of the yoga teachings, probably more than them. It will benefit the world more. And, Babaji was there in the Mela, and he got these thoughts of Sri Yukteswarji. He sends one of his disciples to call Sri Yukteswarji. So somebody comes and calls Yukteswarji, please come. A saint is calling you. And they don't reveal it is Mahat or Babaji's. Yukteswarji is meeting with Baba. He didn't know he was meeting with Babaji. So he goes with this disciple, and there is this luminous sadhu sitting under the tree. And he says, welcome, Swami. And he says, oh, I am not a Swami. And Babaji says, those on whom I am divinely ordained to bestow this blessing of Swami, do not easily cast it away. And then he proceeds to say, tell Sri Yukteswarji, I see that you have a open heart for the unity between East and the West. I'm paraphrasing this conversation in the autobiography of a yogi, but he had sensed the thoughts of Sri Yukteswarji. And what Babaji was wanting to tell Yukteswar in that meeting was, he said, I want you to write a book that shows the unity between the East and the West, that shows the unity of the scriptures between the East and the West. And then, of course, later he also tells him, I also want you to train a disciple whom you must send to the West to awaken these eternal teachings of Sanatana Dharma, to revive the practice of Kriya Yoga. Remember, these are the moments when our lives were also being destined, and we chose to be born at that time and age when Kriya Yoga was available to us, because our souls were calling for that guidance. Our souls were calling for that power with which we could redeem ourselves in inner freedom and happiness. We come into this world, we've forgotten all that. Like this, but this is the power of Maya. This is the power of Maya to put a veil over our understanding, to hide our understanding from what is true and what is not. Our will, which we think, oh, I have the free will to go anywhere I want. I have the free will to do what I want. I have the free will to make my own decisions. I have the free will to create my own destiny. But what is the destiny that we create for ourselves? Look back at our lives and we will understand. We are caught in a muddy puddle of our own making. And then we are crying, I am not free, I am not happy with this suffering, why is God doing this to me? And so on and so forth. Do we need guidance? Schools tell us how you should know what's right for you, how you should be able to make your own decisions. How often do people, society around us remind ourselves, did we ask God? Did you ask God? I had this interesting dream once. I hear a knock on my door, and I open the door, and there is this family of, and it's a family that is in need. And they ask me, oh, we don't have any place to stay. Can I come into your house and stay with you for a while? And it's a family with a few small kids. And I feel compassion and I say, oh, yes, please come in, please come in. And I allow them to stay in the house for a while. You know, a while goes by, months go by, and they're showing no signs of wanting to leave. And I asked them, hey, how long would you like to stay? When do you plan to leave? And they are, they have established themselves in my house by then, and they have no plans to leave. And now it's getting distraught for me, it's getting frustrating. And I go to my mom and tell my mom, this family is not leaving from the house. What should I do? And interestingly, my mom tells me in that dream, go and tell God. Are we able to relate to this dream? Our desires, they come into our consciousness, they make their home, and then they're not willing to leave. And they will not leave until we ask for the guru given power to cast them out of our consciousness and say, you have no place in this house. This house is a temple of God. It is for the consciousness of God. This is the unenlightened mind that thinks that, oh, that will give me happiness. This will give me happiness. This is my right. That is what I need to be doing. This is why we need guidance. This is why we need the guru. Without the guru, we are not able to put one step forward in progress. But what are we doing? We think we are making progress, but what are we doing? We are spinning in the vortices of our own desires. It's like we are running hard, but we are in the same place. And so we come back incarnation after incarnation. It takes guru given guidance to help us see clearly. Fast forward in time to late 1920s. Paramhansa Yogananda is in America, and he is invited to a church in Boston for a talk. And Dr. Lewis meets his guru there, and Yogananda ji meets his first Kriya Yogi disciple in America there. And so one of Dr. Lewis's friends was a member of that congregation where Yogananda was to speak. And she tells Dr. Lewis, there is this man who is coming to speak. I think you should meet him. Now, imagine there were many people reading things in the Bible, the very mystical teachings. Nobody understood them, and nobody helped. They didn't find anybody who had the power or the understanding to guide people into clear understanding of what's written here. So Dr. Lewis was one of those disciples. He had read many things in the Bible, to those who have, more will be given. To those who do not have, even what he has will be taken away. If thine eye be single, thy whole body shall be full of light. Nobody could make any sense of this. And so there were many people wondering, what are these teachings about? Christ's yoga was forgotten in its essence. And so she tells Dr. Lewis, you might want to meet this man. He's coming to speak. So Dr. Lewis says yes. But along the way, on the way to this discourse by Paramhansa Yogananda, he was amply warned by his parents, by his friends, be careful of these cults and of all these people who come in the name of religion to tell us what is truth, and so on and so forth. Anyway, Dr. Lewis arrives at the church. And there, after Yogananda ji gives his discourse, we know this story well. He meets Dr. Lewis. And Dr. Lewis looks at him and he asks him, I have been reading many things in the Bible, but I do not understand them. Can you help me understand these things? And Master says, I think I can. And Dr. Lewis says again, no one is able to help me understand. Do you think you can? And Master says, yes, I think I can. And then Dr. Lewis says, for God's sake, then show me. And then Master beckons him to sit before him. He gets a tiger skin, both sit on the floor. And Yogananda ji looks at Dr. Lewis deeply and he says, will you love me always, doctor, as I love you? And the doctor says, yes. And says, now I can take charge of your life. Now your sins are forgiven. And Dr. Lewis says, in that moment, I felt a huge load lifting off me. He says, it's a fact. I just physically felt a huge load had just left me. He says that load never returned for the rest of his life. I knew that some huge karma had already been taken by the guru. And so the guru says, now I can take charge of your life. And he puts his forehead to Dr. Lewis's forehead. And he does not tell Dr. Lewis anything except to look at the spiritual eye. But he does not say what he is going to see, nor does he suggest anything. He says simply, Doctor, look up here at this point. And the doctor has a vision that he has never seen before. He sees the spiritual eye. And then they talk again for a few minutes. And again, Master puts his forehead to Dr. Lewis's forehead. And this time the doctor sees the 1,000-petaled lotus at the top of the head. He says, what a brilliant sight that was, vision that was. Silver leaves, 1,000 petals of them. And he said, I could see at the base of that lotus, even the blood corpuscles, like little sparks of light bounding along through their little arteries in the brain. And this was a Christmas Eve. The doctor thought he was going to meet this master for about half an hour. He went and he told his wife, I'm coming back in some time. I'll come and do the Christmas tree. He went back home that day at 2 a.m. in the morning, early morning Christmas. He said it was the best Christmas I ever had. There are many beautiful principles revealed through this story. The first thing Yogananda ji asks of his disciple, will you love me always as I love you? And when doctor says yes, that's when he says, now your sins are forgiven. Now I can take charge of your life. This is very crucial, friends. Unqualified, unconditional love and devotion to the Guru is instrumental in a transformation of our consciousness. Without giving the Guru the charge of our life, he cannot guide us. We want guidance, but we have closed the door. A disciple once asked, Master, you bless everyone, but I don't feel your blessings. And Master said, if you shut me out, how can I come in? Think about our lives. How often do we shut the Guru out? And how do we shut the Guru out? By thinking we know. Often we don't even ask. We do something and then we tell Master to correct the situation for us, to correct what went wrong. But each time we do something, are we asking? Or if we're going forth with our own presumption, with our own knowledge and understanding, in a subtle way, we have closed the door on the Guru, telling him, I know what to do. Negativity in our consciousness, anger, negative emotions, they shut the Guru out. And that is why Christ told his disciples, before you go to a temple, if you already have grievance with somebody, he said, first go resolve that grievance with your brother or your sister, and then go into the temple. Because when you go to the temple, you're asking for forgiveness, you're asking for God's love, well, the very same things you have not given your own brother or sister. And do you think God will like that? If he gives you his unconditional love, if he gives you his unconditional abundance, should you not give the same to your brothers and sisters? So these are the ways in which we shut out a Guru. Attunement with the Guru is very important. And this is born of intuition, friends. Without intuition, we will not understand the Guru's guidance. This is a very important point to keep in mind. Without intuition, what is at play? At play is your desires. At play is the whims and fancies of your own clouded mind. How can you hear the Guru's whisper when the noise of your desires is loud? And this is a very clear principle. Meditate, sincerely ask for the Guru's guidance, and then sincerely listen for the guidance. Rajarsi Janakananda became a saint because Master said he knew how to listen. What does that mean? This is a very, very deep teaching. To listen through the bridge of your desires will lead you somewhere. To listen through the bridge of your unconditional self-offering to the Guru will lead you somewhere. And that's where you want to go. That's where you will experience the power of true guidance. There is this wonderful story about another advanced disciple of Master. who had all these fantastic experiences in meditation, and she just didn't know how to receive them in her life. And she was so confused. She had no guidance. But she said she grew up with a very strong thought, I don't want anybody between me and God. But she had all these experiences, and she just didn't know how to go about integrating it in her daily life. And one day she was, frolicking among the hills close to her house, and she heard a very clear voice, and she said, I was inwardly praying, I need a teacher. I need a teacher to understand what's happening with me. And she said, a voice immediately came very loud and clear. You have been dictating to God. You have been dictating to God. She said, oh, I immediately bowed my head, fell on my knees, and told loudly, I offer myself to any teacher you send me. I will accept the person. She goes back home. She finds on the floor a scrap of paper with the words, Autobiography of a Yogi, Paramhansa Yogananda. And she says, I still do not know how that scrap of paper came to be there. Now, she saw that, she didn't understand anything. She wadded it up and threw it into the dustbin. And then something struck her. She suddenly went back to the dustbin, took that paper up, and she read that note again. Later, she goes to the store, buys the book Autobiography of a Yogi, and begins to start reading. And she's so happy. And then the phone rings. Her friend is on the other end of the line saying, there is this wonderful talk that is happening this weekend, and there is a well-known speaker. Now, the person could not remember the name of Paramhansa Yogananda. So she was like, this is well-known speaker. And this devotee had already made up her mind. She was busy reading the autobiography. She was very happy. She says, oh, but I'm very busy. I don't think I'll be able to come. And then the friend said, oh, I remember his name is something like Paramhansa Yogananda. And she says, oh, I'm coming. She goes, listen, hears Master talk that day and becomes his disciple. Guidance comes to us in many ways. If our heart is not open, and that is what in this beautiful reading, there is a beautiful line which says is renunciation is of the heart. Without renunciation, inner renunciation, it's not renunciation of or rejection. Renunciation is not rejection, friends. And renunciation is not rejection of outer things. Everything in God's creation is part of God. Renunciation is your giving up of your attachments in life. Attachments to particular outcomes, attachments to a particular circumstance, or attachments to certain people. The guru is a spiritual doctor, as Sister Gyanamata said. And as she very clearly with wisdom says, he does not care for your sufferings. His goal is to get you to freedom in God. It's a very high goal, friends. And this is very important for each of us if we want true guidance, to not lift our eyes off the goal. It's not easy. There's an interesting corollary to that first meeting of Dr. Lewis with Paramhansa Yogananda. After all that talk experiences, Yogananda ji tells doctor, I want you to promise me one thing, that you will not avoid me. Imagine the guru asking of the disciple. He says, doctor, promise me that you will not avoid me. And the doctor promises, no, master, I will not avoid you. And the doctor says later, it was very difficult. He says, the discipline of the guru is not easy. He says, and many times in my heart, I have wanted to hide from the guru and get away from the guru. You see, the master could see all these things through into the future. And that is why he took a promise from Dr. Lewis right then and there. Promise me, doctor, you will not avoid me. How often do we avoid the guru? How often do we avoid wanting to listen to him? We make a show of even asking him, but in our heart of hearts, are we really sure we want to hear what the guru says? Introspection, self-honesty, clearing the path so that the guru can walk into your consciousness and establish himself. Otherwise, like the dream showed, there are other tenants waiting to become masters of your consciousness. What are we offering ourselves to? We have come for spiritual healing. Outwardly, yes, temporarily, we have all our challenges, the need for harmony, for peace, for a job, for a wonderful partner, so on and so forth. Everyone has different needs, but the guru has come for our to attend to our spiritual need. Material needs are included in the spiritual need, friends. But if we go looking for the material need, it's outside the spiritual need, which is why the principle, seek ye first the kingdom of God. Everything else will be added unto you. In that kingdom is everything we need. We have come here for nothing less than spiritual healing. Let's also remind ourselves that again. And spiritual healing is not easy, even for in fact, it is even more difficult for the master. He says, look how difficult it is to produce a beautiful rose. How much more difficult it is to produce a beautiful human being. With the millions of vortices of samskars that are established strongly within us as the rulers of our kingdom, who is fighting each one of them for us? Krishna is fighting that battle, leading Arjuna through that war, through the enemy formations, impenetrable formations of the vortices of our desires, impenetrable. And who is standing guard over those vortices, impenetrable vortices? We ourselves often. Allow Krishna to lead our lives. Allow Krishna to uproot those deep-seated desires and lead us to freedom. Attunement requires willing cooperation from the disciple. Then it's not enough to just, Guruji, give me guidance. What are we doing with the guidance? As Master said, if the doctor gives you a prescription, but you tear it and put it aside, are you going to be healed? No. Are we following the guidance? What does it take to follow the guidance? That is what will shape our lives. If we don't put the guidance to work, we won't change. We have closed the door to the Guru. But the moment we attune to the will of the Master, our willpower is immeasurably strengthened because we are uniting our will to the will of God through the Guru. Through that unity, through that attunement comes our strength to overcome what we need to overcome. It cannot be just bestowed upon us, but the moment we attune, things are effortless. It's there, just like the tree that produces the fruit when it is ready. But we have to nurture that tree of life within us by watering it constantly through devotion to the Guru, not devotion to our desires, through devotion to the Guru, through our unconditional love and obedience of the Guru's will for us. We water that tree of life within us. And then the power of guidance can come through clearly, crystal clear, and lead us to everlasting life. Jai Guru. Thank you, everyone. Have a wonderful, blessed day in the Guru.